he's like an influencer, psychologist. I'm unsure. Please give me a background, and then let's get to where he's at now and what potentially could be next.
Yeah, so Murad Merali, he is known as a YouTuber slash content creator, and he has quite a very big fan base. He usually does, for example, reviews on his YouTube channel, mostly reviews on shows such as Love Island, and also reviews about topics that affects the real life. But he has built a fan base of women, predominantly black women, and he's quite pro-black in terms of the community and uplifting black women. And I
he's
mean,
an Asian man.
Yeah, and he's being the Asian man who lives in South London.
Interesting.
And also with his YouTube content creating, he's formed great friendships with a lot of Love Islanders. For example, You One Day, and also Amber Rose.
Okay.
So quite popular.
So he does reviews.
Black women,
on
mixed race women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do black people, like black women especially, why do you think they gravitate to him so much?
I think because he's kind of like the voice of reason. It seems like Murad was speaking on behalf of black women.
Okay.
Like strong topics that affects them. It could be to do with colorism, etc. He does speak about it. Anything to do with racism, anything that has affected black women from getting anywhere in equality. He has raised this. He's also known for, during the Black Lives Matter protests, he was a very big campaigner during this. He also was campaigning with Amber Rose Gill. He much said as well, spread the awareness on his channels. He spread on Twitter that he was giving away 100 bottles of water. And he took pictures of it. He documented all of the things that he campaigns for. And also he has done that campaigning on his YouTube channel about Yemen, sponsoring a country, etc. He does claim that he does have some relation to the country as well. But yeah, it was just the other day. I mean, it was. I saw it on Twitter.
Before you get there, do you think he's genuine when he's helping out certain communities, or do you feel like he's somewhat trying to? Is it all about money with him, or is he a genuine factor in trying to help these other countries and communities?
Well, prior to what happened with the headlines about him,
we'll get to that.
I had my own opinion about Murad Merali. Now, I remember I did subscribe to him on his YouTube channel a few years ago when he first did like reviews, and I quite enjoyed. You know, even because I don't really watch TV like I used to, but what I did enjoy was actually listening to his reviews. He was quite witty as well. He was quite.
I was going to ask, is he entertaining?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's quite witty. He does little things like staring at the camera for prolonged seconds. I remember during
that
Love Island.
Kind of
when Love Island, during a season where Amber won, she was partnered up with Greg, and he just basically used her to win half the money. And on his YouTube channel, Murad was like, Gregory, where are you? Gregory, where are you? And he was coming out of different places, like different rooms, and come out of a closet, etc. Just strange things, but it was just like, it was so entertaining. So regardless of the things that he has done and he speaks about, he also does captivate quite an audience through his wittiness.
Okay, so we might as well get straight to it. So the headlines is saying that he's a racist.
Yeah, so but prior to getting towards it, I mean, I remember you asked me the question about if I thought he was doing it for money, etc., or if he was genuine. I feel like with Murad, I felt like it was like, as myself, I subscribed, I'm a black woman, and so because I quite liked where his content was going.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much for the uplifting of the communities. I more liked his reviews for Love Island, if I'm going to be honest.
Fair enough.
But then it just got to the point where I've noticing his content was just predominantly the same thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, the way I look at things is if someone from a different race is pushing so hard on a topic that doesn't affect your own people, I do feel like it's not genuine. But that was just my opinion, so I kind of come away from him years ago. I mean, I was still dropping in and out for his Love Island reviews. Because
you know what? That's a good topic, though.
Quite interesting.
Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel someone who's helping another community, why do you feel like they're not genuine or disingenuous?
Well, I mean, a lot of people will find what I'm going to say controversial, but you know the saying, white saviour?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a case where, let's say, countries, like, there might be countries in some parts of the world, it could be in Africa or Asia or even some parts of the Caribbean, etc.
Yeah.
Where there is poverty, and you'll always see people, usually quote unquote white people, coming over to the country to help those who are in need. But the issue is they never do it in a case where they've just done it. That everything has to be documented what they've done.
Okay.
And it always reminds me of this time where I used to work in a school, and there was one teacher, and during our inset day she made it all about her presentation of when she went abroad to help others, and she just kept going on and on and
looking
on.
for that validation.
Yeah, and it did come across like that. I mean, there are some people that do things, don't get me wrong, to be very genuine, but when you have to document every step of it, it should merely be for yourself, do you know? And it was also, it's as if it was like competition, like, I've done this for you, I've done this for your people, so it never just come across quite genuine. And also, what I'm going to say is, in regards to that, going back to Murad, I feel like when someone pushes so hard for something that has no relation to them, there's always seems to be a case where they do it because of either guilt, they could do it because of something that happened in their past where they have done some wrong. For example, they could have been racist in their past, etc., and they're trying to make amends. It always seems to come from that type of place.
Okay. Do you still feel that same way in the social media demographic? Because him saying, I'm doing this for a certain type of community, I'm trying to help XYZ and documenting, that's the world we live in right now.
It is, but I feel, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like he was a smart man. Let's talk about Murad. He's you know, he's got his masters, hasn't he? He's went to university. He studied neuroscience, clinical psychology. You know, you have to remember he's a very smart man, regardless of the pain that's happened, and we will speak about that. But someone who studied this and he's also studied media, he knows where the need is. He knows that black women are never listened to. They're hardly listened to. They're underrepresented. So I feel like he took that moment. I feel like he researched of where he can find his shine, and he gravitated towards it. He picked a topic. Yeah, he found something. He found something that needs to be spoken about. No one really speaks and go hard for them.
Yeah.
Black women can't seem to represent others because they always tear each other down. It seems to be a big community. So it's as if he was a spokesman for this topic.
Which is weird. And Asian man, I'm not sure where he exactly comes from, but he's Asian, of Asian descent.
South Asian, yes.
South Asian. It takes a South Asian to actually be the spokesperson for black women, which is a good thing, but a bad thing when you actually look at the dynamic. Yeah,
it's not saying that he can't do it, and it's not saying that other people from different races can't represent, but it's morely a case of you have to, it's just being genuine and not having an ulterior motive, because you have to understand you've built a fan base. His YouTube channel, it reached 300k, he did a big event for it, mostly black women attended his event. Just so that they were putting their money in pockets. These events were not free. People paid to stream his live vinyl reaction to the finale of Love Island.
Is that wrong, by the way?
Of his profiting?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to make money somehow. But I think what it is it's now the backlash is about how these women have supported him, and then now what's come to light?
So, currently, he was trending for maybe 2 days straight on Twitter. I'm not really on Twitter like that, but you were telling me he was trending. A video came out.
Yes.
I saw the video. I don't think it had sound.
And what was your thoughts when you saw the video?
I'm not gonna lie. The first thing I done was laugh. I'm not gonna lie. But then I thought, one, maybe this guy, that's his fetish, because that was a word that was going around.
Yeah.
It could be his fetish, and that's all good. Everyone's got a fetish to some degree. People love eating chocolate. People love going gym. Like, there's many things what you can call a fetish. Even, yeah. So, I'm thinking that's his fetish, that's cool. But then after that, I think I saw more like response videos. And they were saying that he was calling them names. So he had like a Chinese, the video that I saw, he was using his foot to smoosh and slap like a Chinese guy. Slap him or whatever, but because there was no sound, there was no real context. So when I heard from the response videos saying that he was calling them the C word and derogatory terms, that's when I said, like, really, there's something wrong with this guy. But, playing devil's advocate, the person who's actually receiving the treatment in the video must have consented for that to happen. Because not one of them have came out and complained. So who's really right, who's wrong?
Well, the thing is, when I first saw this, I just read, so I use Twitter quite frequently, and I noticed when I went on Twitter that he was trending #1. I was thinking, okay, I get Murad Merali, people know him, but it was just a bit odd for me to see him trending #1. As soon as I clicked on his name, I'm seeing multiple videos of a foot, like a foot, just slapping someone in the face.
A lot of memes.
Yeah, so I had to really get into it, look into it, and I just saw, even on my homepage, it was nothing but that, and people, making fun. It was all over TikTok.
Yeah.
And then I believe it might have been the same day, could have been, or a few hours later, etc. I saw a video on YouTube put out by Murad himself, and it was called "Addressing My Past."
Yeah.
And that's what kind of made me watch it. And the thing is, because I didn't really know much, I just saw the videos. I didn't want to get too much into it.
Yeah.
When I watched his video, he starts talking about how these posts, some of the content is of himself, but not all. And he also mentioned that the things that have been said is not his, and the quotes is not his. So, for example, under a few pictures or videos, there are captions, some really derogatory captions, and he claims that these are not his. But then in the video as well, he starts talking about at the age of 14 that he was raped multiple times, and obviously that is quite disturbing.
Yeah.
And also, but
trauma.
yeah, the issue is why he has been trending for 2 days straight is because nowhere in his video about addressing the past did anyone ask him about his foot fetish, because he mentioned that it can't be, he's really ashamed of it and he can't stop, but it was 5 to 6 years ago, and that's why he decided to study psychology, so he can understand himself more, which, yes, that makes complete sense, I get it. But at the same time, everyone has their type of, everyone has their kinks, like they say, and it's like, the last thing, I mean, it is quite funny if you saw the video straight away.
I'm not going to lie,
at first.
I found it hilarious.
Yeah, but no one's really checking for that. What we wanted to know is about the racial slurs. Do you see what I mean? When I first saw it, then I didn't actually hear any audio, and then further on I started to hear some audios.
Yeah.
And stuff. And then what made me think as well is like, okay, there's videos going around, and his username was Arab what was it?
Arab Slave Master.
Yeah, Arab Slave Master.
6ix9ine or something.
Yeah, it was,
it was a wild name.
Within that name itself, it goes to show. So he was a sex worker then, etc. So,
So do you think this is a case where hurt people? Because he did say I was raped.
Yeah.
He was forcing tears. I'm not sure how genuine that was.
what we don't actually know. Now, there's a lot of speculation, but we don't actually know. Did people actually pay for this service? Because he said that he needed to get out of it. He needed to get out of this toxic life that he was in. So did people actually pay for this service? Because it hasn't been confirmed. And I think that's why there's so much outrage. It hasn't been confirmed whether people paid for this service or was it the case. Because there is the username, etc. He did have an OnlyFans account. Yeah. So people do pay for certain things. Yeah. However, why was there a video that went out if that was the case?
I personally think that someone who was paying or not paying for them services could have leaked it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. My whole thing with this is, I'm not going to lie, I don't really know. I only know what you've told me. I haven't... Okay, leading up to where he's at now, was he ever in these weird kind of spaces? Could you ever see him doing what he's doing now? Was there like a trail
if I'm gonna be honest,
up till now?
It just seemed like quite a shock. It was kind of
so it just came out of nowhere.
It was very bizarre, I must say. However, in terms of the feet, I don't follow this individual on social media, but I do notice that he's always showing his feet in pictures.
I remember you showed me that. That made me even more laugh. So he was actually showing. Yeah, every picture that I've seen, I just see him in like a big garb or whatever the outfit is, and I just see his feet there.
Yeah, he's in his traditional clothing. Yeah. You'll see his feet. And apparently that we've seen screenshots, screen grabs, etc. of him on Instagram, like commenting with his feet when people are asking, do you have OnlyFans? And he posts the username with a foot next to it. So I guess these signs were already there, and he was following from it looks like many foot type of pages, but they were deleted during this time when he was blasted.
We tried to do our little research,
and we can see that these pages he's no longer following.
Yes, he's probably now blocked.
Yes.
Do you feel like, because I don't really know him like that, do you feel like he could recover from this? Do you feel like anyone could recover from this?
I feel like anyone can recover. The issue is here, he hasn't addressed the racism. I think even taken away from the racial slurs, that's obviously disgusting. But within his username himself, Arab slave master.
That tells you right there.
Definitely, and how insensitive can one be? Slave master, you
can't use that as a joke.
No, and you've built a community of subscribers based on black individuals, predominantly black women, and your username is slave master. Then you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, and he's a smart guy.
Yes,
like you said, he was past like psychology and all these kind of stuff.
And yeah, I get it. He maybe needed money to get out or something, but there was no excuse. I feel like even the racial slurs that's unacceptable, but I feel like if he apologised, he will still have backlash, but I think eventually it would have got better. It would have been yesterday's news, because there's always something bigger that's going to be on the news. But the issue is...
He didn't address nothing.
Yeah, the issue is he didn't address anything. And within his username, it goes to show that he knew what he was doing. Because regardless, even if he was to do race play or something like that, he chose to create that username as Arab slave master. There is no excuse, and there's no going around it. It is concrete and in black and white, as they say.
That's the fact.
That is what his username was, and that is what he was doing. And that is what he saw himself as.
So, currently, everyone's accusing him for being... It's weird because I get the fetish part. You know, the way I'm looking at it is kind of blurry. Like I said, the people who he's doing these acts to, they must be consenting to it. So, whether he's a racist or not, people of other ethnicities are consenting to all of his fetishes. So, is he really what people make him out to be? Why is everyone causing this big hoo-ha and this big drama around it when he's doing basically what he wants, and I'm sure people are getting paid for all this kind.
I believe it's.
Why do you think people are so shocked and surprised?
He hasn't addressed it. It all comes down to taking accountability.
The thing is, what should he address though?
I feel like personally, if I was to have a big platform,
and it's just me playing
before I
devil's
got
advocate.
to this, he knows, and many people have been exposed. He has reviews on people who have been exposed.
Yeah.
He must know that his time would eventually come.
Mm.
So it's like, if he built a platform and said, listen, this is my past.
Yeah.
Because people, especially with mental health, abuse, people really do go hard for it these days. So if he said, this is my past and this is what I did, I'm ashamed, I'll take a full accountability from the beginning. So it wasn't so much of a shock. But it just, I feel like what it comes across like, he thought he could get away with it, he got away with it, and he continued. He continued to drag other people. Mm. It was basically another Wendy Williams.
Is he an advocate for mental health?
Well, he...
or was he?
I mean, he was representing...
Okay.
A mental health charity.
Okay.
And they now have dropped him.
Okay.
Frontline Therapy, they've now dropped him because they don't excuse his behaviours. I believe that Frontline Therapy is black owned as well.
I like what you said the other day. Like, this would be a perfect example because he was in cahoots with all these mental health companies and whatnot. Like, he's actually showing and proving that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he could have really used it to his advantage. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. When you told me that, it made complete sense.
I mean, he's representing Frontline Therapy.
Yeah.
For him going through so much traumatic things, he could have used them and be like, do you know what? I've went through these disgusting things. I've done race play.
Yeah.
I'll take full accountability. Yes, and now I'm with Frontline Therapy. If he had come clean, told them, and it would make more sense. But this guy was just dragging everyone, doing reviews, living his best life as he's going to Dubai for the 500th time, and so and representing a mental health charity when you're the one that needs it. You're going to say it every minute in your YouTube videos. Oh, by the way, this video is sponsored by Frontline Therapy. But what about yourself? What about what you're going through? He could have been the real advocate, saying that this has changed his life around.
You feel like he's ashamed?
Definitely. It is quite embarrassment, let's be honest.
Is it?
I think it is an embarrassment. It's not. I don't think his past in terms of what he's been through is an embarrassment. Yeah. It may be to himself. Yeah. Because
there's a lot of people going through it.
But there are many people that have.
People that's going through similar.
Exactly.
Circumstances.
Exactly.
So he should understand that there's a way out of it. Like, whatever happened in the past can be rectified as you get older. It's not this kind of, you're hoarding all of these bad memories and they're just stuck with you forever.
Yes.
So he should know this better than anyone. So why do you think, does that add to the point where he really was using, okay, up until now, do you think he was lying about who he was?
No.
Was he genuine?
I feel like he will naturally look like he's lying because of what he's past.
Yeah.
But I feel like his acts of what he did, it's strange. It can be it could be manipulation based on his.
That's
the thing is, because he's done psychology, we can only think that he's being manipulative. He studied it to be manipulative.
Exactly.
So he can get away with these things.
It
could be that. That seems like the plausible answer.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that everyone's human.
Yeah.
It can also be a case where he just generally thought he was doing good, and because of the things that he'd done in the past, he wanted to make amends, and he actually really enjoyed doing these courses.
Another key component in his quote-unquote apology speech, he said something about money.
Yes.
He was saying, I've done everything for money, all I care about is money. What's that about?
It came across, I mean, his apology was really bad. I mean, you're not like you're supposed to put much thought in an apology, because when you apologise, you just apologise. Yeah. So it could be, you have to remember this. Yeah. That you don't supposed to
plan.
Yeah.
Pre-plan an apology.
Yeah, you don't.
It comes from the heart. Like,
exactly.
You say what's
it's not a performance.
there and then, yeah.
But when he said all I cared about was money, all I cared about was money.
I just want to make money.
What part did you just care about money? Is it all up until now? Because he never really made that clear.
He's very vague.
Very vague. But the thing is, in his apology video, you can tell that it was edited. That he edited a few bits. But then at the same time, what he was saying wasn't clear and he didn't address anything. So it's very confusing.
Dancing around.
Yes.
Yeah, he was literally dancing around. But I'm not sure, like, I'm not sure what this guy can do to actually. I'm not sure what this guy can do to actually deal with this situation. But like I said, right now he's in hiding. So no one knows where he is. No one knows what he's doing. No one knows where he's at. I'm not gonna lie. This whole scenario is just mind-boggling because it sounds like he's being a master manipulator. It sounds like he's a bully, a racist. He just don't care about no one but himself.
I mean, at the end of the apology video, he said that he wants Allah to take his life. And he has mentioned in a video previously that he's attempted to commit suicide multiple times. And this was in a most recent video prior to everything coming out. Yeah. So, did he know this was coming out?
I remember you said something.
Now, I can come across like a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like I remember a recent video. He randomly mentioned at the end that to be nice to people. He had a review about how he didn't like how the Love Island reunion was.
Yeah.
But then he slams Laura Whitmore in the past for being a terrible terrible host. And then he said this time that we have to remember that it's not entirely her fault, it's production. And then he randomly said at the end to be kind to others. And he's tried to take his life multiple times. So I honestly, it could just be me saying this, but I honestly believe he knew something was coming out. Maybe he didn't know it was going to come out like that, but I feel like maybe he was threatened. He would have known. I don't think it just came out like this.
Yeah.
I think he knew.
Do you think he was the one that put it out?
I said this. He could have all leaked it out. He could have leaked it himself. His big 300k for all we know.
Before someone else did?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it would have been worse? If he did leak it himself, what would be the pros of him leaking it himself? Because so far he's losing followers. I don't think he would have been any better.
He's losing followers, and don't get me wrong, he's lost a lot. However, he's not losing as much
as you thought.
As you'd think.
You'd think. I think the thing
is, he had 300k. He's probably on 280 something now.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of followers he's lost on YouTube. Yeah. He hasn't lost much followers on Instagram. He still has very loyal people from Love Island following him, amongst others.
Do you think, when it comes with people losing followers, more time, the people that stay just want to see the train wreck?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily people staying because they're on his side. It's because they want to see his demise.
But those who leave, it's not necessarily say those who are leaving because they believe he did something wrong. It's usually because people told them to, and then they resubscribe.
But
because I remember when this cancel culture, is non-existent. The way I see it.
I agree. I fully don't.
It doesn't exist.
It don't exist.
And I remember there was
Give it 2
time.
weeks.
Definitely, there was a time where YouTubers / content creators, Nella Rose, a popular one, even Only Bells, they were exposed, trending #1 for comments they had said on Twitter in the past.
Yeah.
Whoever leaked them. And let's say Nella Rose specifically. Everyone loves Nella Rose. And she said these things, she lost subscribers, a lot of them. Now she's hosting MTV, Catfish, UK. Now she's hosting different award ceremonies. Her bag got up. She gained more followers after she lost.
Followers. You see? Listen, like I told you this already. There's only one man that officially got cancelled, and that's R. Kelly. Even Tim Westwood, they can't really cancel him. R. Kelly is the only one 30 years in prison. And that was after 30 years of allegations.
I mean, they arrested him, but is he cancelled? People still listen to his music openly.
When it comes to R. Kelly, remember, he's not in control of his music. So when people say, like morally it's wrong to listen to his music, you could say that, but even if you do listen to his music, he's not reaping the benefits from that directly.
He never owned it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he never owned rights to his music.
So all it is, yes, I understand when people say you need to think the mind state he was in to write a certain song could have been nasty, and he could have been in a certain type of zone and whatnot. But ultimately, you listening to it, streaming it, ain't gonna benefit him. Good music is good music. So, but like I was saying, back to cancel culture, I think officially they couldn't even cancel Kanye West.
Yeah.
They can't cancel no one. R. Kelly's the only one officially. My whole thing is, after, give it 2 weeks, say nothing. He shouldn't even... do you think it would have been worse if he never came out with an apology?
The way I see it, I know it sounds...
fake or not.
I know it sounds so funny, but the way I see it is his apology would only make him bigger. I could only... people are saying he's cancelled. I can only see him... If he does choose, that is, to come back to YouTube content creating, it can only make him bigger. And the reason is because in his absence, there is no one doing it like him on his level.
True. But with all the allegations that's come out so far...
I think it depends if it's proved to be consensual or not. I think that's the big thing. Because if there's things that aren't, or there's alleged rapes, etc., or there's more, because we don't know the full story, then that's
I don't think we ever will.
That's him over. If he never comes back to social media,
then you have to just boil it down to, you know what, if he just disappears from social media completely, then he was in the wrong. Yeah. People will be able to justify he was in the wrong, so he's just gone and disappeared. Yeah. It's like speaking without speaking, admitting guilt and all them things.
I mean, it's been a couple days now and...
He ain't said nothing.
We haven't heard anything.
He ain't posted anything?
No, Mr. Daily and Consistent hasn't posted another video.
And what does that tell you? He's either running, hiding, or he just generally don't care. He's just waiting for this to blow over.
It could be wishful thinking.
I don't know. He likes to travel to Dubai and all these places.
I mean, he could be there right now.
He could be there right now, just not even thinking of anything. Waiting for all this to kind of go down, come back, maybe even reinvent himself. Because he does have qualifications in his higher learning of psychology and all this kind of stuff. He could open his own practice and stay low key and whatnot.
Definitely.
I feel like he's actually losing money being online.
Well, yeah, there's so many more things he can do, and he has a high net worth online, but he's fully qualified.
Exactly.
To open up his own
practice.
He's also an investor, a property investor.
So he's got money coming in.
I believe he bought his own penthouse.
Good, you see? Didn't you say he lived in Peckham or something?
Streatham, I believe.
Streatham.
Well, Brixton. Between Streatham and Brixton he lives.
Well. So when it comes to his black woman fan base, because we know, how am I going to say this? We know black women especially can be very forgiving. How do you feel as a black woman? Do you feel like eventually he could be forgiven if nothing more comes out?
Definitely. Most women have forgiven him. They're speaking up for him on Twitter already. A lot of black women are saying that, well, people paid for this, I don't see what's wrong. I hope he's okay. There's a lot.
So people more feel sorry for him.
Yeah, a lot of seem to be unbothered.
Yeah.
I think the reason why he was more or less trending is because of the foot. it was a shock to everyone. But people have, he does have support as much as he has been dragged.
Even though, which is, I get that. Where there's an up, down, I get that.
I think at first it's a shock to a lot of people, and then on reflection they just think, well...
Apparently there's more than one video out. Apparently he was doing it to a black person and calling them the N-word and whatnot.
Apparently there's more.
So you'd think, seeing that...
But that caused the uproar in quote-unquote black Twitter. This is where, you know, black people have discussions on Twitter, and a lot of black men were saying how, black women, why are you easily forgiving this man?
Yeah, because you did tell me that black women are feeling one way and black men are feeling another.
Yes. It seems like the black men want him to be cancelled, but some of the black women, well, a lot of them on Twitter, they're saying, well, he hasn't really done anything wrong because they pay for the services. They seem to be disregarding the racial slurs, and I do wonder if their judgment would have been different had if he not been a content creator who had spoken about women empowerment and black women so highly.
So
is their judgment blurred? So
I put it in layman's terms. The black women are looking at him like he's some Jesus type character.
It seems like that. If I'm gonna
like
be
a
honest,
cult type thing.
On YouTube it did come across like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no matter what he does, good, bad or indifferent, they're always going to be on his side and try and justify his behaviour.
I remember there was a time years ago when he went on, I guess it wasn't so long ago to be honest, probably was even last year, when he was on YouTube Live and he was talking, and people were sending him money for speaking about just vague topics like we speak about our kitchen table talk. He was being sent money. It wasn't like little bits, like some 25 hair, 15 hair, 5 hair.
You know,
It's almost like, do you know, offering in church. That's how it came across. They were giving him an offering.
Talking about that, and not to switch subjects, but Pastor Toby, the infamous Pastor Toby. If you don't know about him, Google him. I just want to know your thoughts on him, because I know you're a woman of, would you say you're a woman of God, religion, a religious, yeah?
Yeah.
When it comes to certain characters like that, where his position in this whole being a pastor thing is connecting with the youth more.
I mean, SPAC Nation was under investigation many years ago, I remember. It was even on BBC Watchdog, etc.
I remember.
But because of the fact that the nature is another Murad Merali, where Pastor Toby is a smart individual, it is hard to get around him as much as they wish. But he has used church as a way to manipulate young individuals to give their money for him to live a luxurious life.
Can you see the pros and cons with that?
The thing is, it's like, there is not really a pro. The pro is him receiving money.
True.
But there's another way of looking at it. He created a community. Again, he used people's struggles to create a community. Now, the thing is with Pastor Toby is we don't really know much about him, because there was allegations that he was
touching underage kids,
and also that he was like keeping them in
like
his
a
home.
cult type thing.
Yeah. So and I don't really know too much. The issue is as well, if I'm going to bring this up, is I remember that he had this interview with ZZ Mills, and I was very disappointed with the interview with ZZ Mills, because I felt like that was the opportunity for us to really know more about him
instead she was just giggling
and put him on that spot. But it was like she was giving him his flowers almost. Very disappointed, I remember.
Justifying his behaviour.
Yes. Or saying, oh, you're quite funny, or...
Yeah.
Just, it was very... Yeah, it was very pathetic, I felt.
But in a situation like that, especially when there's not too much evidence to go by, it's kind of hard to throw someone under the fire when it's all allegations.
Yeah.
You could bring up as much allegations as you can in an interview, but someone like Pastor Toby, I've seen his interviews.
The only thing is, what I can say is, where even though it's manipulation, it isn't he's doing. It's more because it's a choice.
And
but,
that's why I said the pros and cons.
Yeah, I think it depends on the age. But I remember in the churches there was a case where people who were going to university were using their student loans and giving it to him, etc. The church.
Yeah.
And it's like it is their responsibility to ensure that their money goes towards whatever they wished for it to go. So at the time, no one could blame anyone.
So basically, both people are wrong.
Yeah, they have to take some type of accountability.
Which people don't want to do. But.
And he promised young boys that they'll have flashy cars like him, they'll have a big house like him.
Listen, when I first heard of Pastor Toby,
if they join his church, so in one way, he was doing he was doing a good thing
in the wrong way.
In the wrong way, inviting people and getting people to come to the church
for the wrong reason.
But he was using it for his own gain, his own manipulation.
I don't know. I know about him, but I don't know too much. Is he a real pastor?
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
Qualified or?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when I first heard about him, I saw him on the music video on GRM Daily. And he was in a church. It was a drill song. I saw everyone with Bibles, holding Bibles like guns, shooting in the air. Him dancing in his flashy clothes, standing on a Lamborghini and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how to take this. But at first, I'm fully against everything that he stands for. But I can see his explanation for most things is, I'm trying to get more youth. A lot of youth don't really care about Jesus and God and biblical and all this kind of stuff, religion and whatnot. He found another way to connect with the youth on their level. Because, let's be real, not many people under a certain age want to do, like, go to church and, like, like the normal way. I don't really go to church like that. I haven't been in church in years, but the normal way, you see the pastor, everyone's singing, you're not really understand what's going on, there's a plate going round. He made it more like enjoyable for them. Yeah,
he engaged young people, the youth, he did.
And I can see a pro in that. But like you said, the con is manipulation. I heard a couple of stories where he had a flat, where he had a couple like houses all across London. He had like 15 boys staying there. A couple of them came out saying he was touching up. Like, if they wouldn't give a certain amount of money or do certain amount of things, he would molesting and all these kind of stuff. Like.
And the thing is, when it comes to those issues and those allegations, what happens is, because of it's a family community church, no one's speaking up. And when they did speak up, it was a little bit late, and then there wasn't enough sufficient evidence to go against Pastor Toby.
And then there never is, because in his interviews, you ask him a direct question, the man dances around everything.
Yeah.
Have you got a wife and kids? Well, there's a woman out there that loves me. Like, you got any kids? Well, I'm a child of God, and
yeah, we don't really.
That I'm around, you don't know nothing about him.
Yeah, we don't really know. I mean, I remember Zizi Mills asked him how many kids he has, and we never really got a definite answer there. He has a way of swerving.
Yeah.
So, like many people, Murad Merali as well, swerving, not addressing the real questions. But why do you think that is?
Because clearly they know they're doing something wrong. You're trying to hide, innit? Not to throw all black people and black families under the bus, but there's a lot of black families that just brush everything under the rug and act like it's not happening. You hear stories of...
And the funny thing is, it's a common factor in terms of abuse as well, and that seems to be the theme within this topic for both parties.
Of course.
Alleged abuse.
Of course, and that's where it stems from. That's why certain people, as they get older, do certain things. Because when they were younger, they had to witness or be a part of like a traumatic experience. They never had no one to speak to, because the family members they tried to speak to would always say, "Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry, like it's not that deep. Don't worry, don't speak about it and you'll get over it." That's why I'm a big advocate for mental health. So, alright, last thing. Since you're here, Tim Westwood. I never really had a full conversation on the demise of Tim Westwood. I just want to know, what's your thoughts on this whole...
I think it's just another case of the BBC just allowing another Jimmy Savile, another sexual predator, another white male sexual predator to get away with his disgusting ways. But also, Tim Westwood had a fetish, doesn't he? He has a fetish for young black girls. And it's because it's another... Do you know what? It kind of reminds me of with R. Kelly's situation, where many people spoke about R. Kelly standing outside school gates, etc.
Yeah,
but because it was black girls, they didn't care. They did not care. So because it's young black girls that Tim Westwood, he's creeping around.
Do you think wasn't taken seriously? Do you think the BBC pacified him? You feel like the BBC knew and they just had his back?
Yeah, the BBC are very weird, I must say. They knew about Jimmy Savile. They clearly knew about Tim Westwood, as they stated. They had many reports, but they chose to do nothing about it. But then yet they wanted to bring out a programme
documentary
about him and about the alleged abuse, as they say. And then they said, well, all the people were of age and gave consent. He didn't force anyone.
And recently I heard, I don't know how old he was, but Tim Westwood is 60? And they said something about he was a 14-year-old 20 years ago. Like, I don't know, I've met Tim Westwood a couple of times. The settings I've seen him in, you see him in videos,
I mean, it's out there, and there's no one that doesn't have a story of when Tim Westwood was being inappropriate with a young black girl. Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I watched the documentary
again. But you said it was very vague.
It was very vague, and it was very BBC-ish.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted some viewers to watch. Okay. To watch. They created that for viewers to watch.
Yeah.
I just don't think there was any
surviving Tim Westwood.
No, it was pathetic.
Was it just like couple girls saying, yeah, he tried to flirt with me when I was in a club?
There were people saying it, and they started off basically introducing about Tim Westwood, who he is. There was a lot of videos of him with footage, for example, with him with famous people like Will Smith, and just about him out where he was, and people coming forward saying that things have happened, and they're talking about, and they showed a lot of pictures and footage of him let's say talking to young black girls, putting his arms around them, etc. But then it all came back to the fact that they were 17 and above. Nothing was taken seriously. They said it was consensual, but the thing is,
and that's why it's blurry.
Yeah, he would invite girls. It was a case where he would invite girls to go to his studio, etc. And then what he would do is he would drive them to a home. I don't know if it's his own flat, and where he would start just taking off his belt, undoing his trousers. Yeah. And the girls, apparently, every girl that said it, that was on the documentary, were just saying that they felt like they couldn't say anything. So the way they would, I think the BBC is trying to portray it is like they didn't tell him no. But at the end of the day, for example, if you are raped, you find it hard to say no because your voice is taken away. You're in shock. You're in panic. And a lot of them, the girls said that they felt like they felt threatened. So maybe I felt like he might do something if it didn't happen. And they said after the sexual acts, he would just walk away as if nothing ever happened.
He's got that godlike complex. Yeah. Apparently, I also heard there was a lot of girls that wanted to be in the music industry. Yeah. And
this was a similar thing with R. Kelly, isn't it?
And it's like, if you want to, I can help you, but you're going to have to do this for me.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a lot of that going on.
So abusing his power.
And that was the name of the documentary.
Yeah.
Abuse of power.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot going on.
The thing is, if a teacher did something like that, they'll be abusing their power. If a doctor did something like that, they'll be abusing their power. But if a DJ does it, is it not? Do they not have the same? I don't know. Is it not the same? Is one rule applies to one?
I think because he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
So
they're looking at it differently because he's an entertainer.
I think so.
But that doesn't mean that what the girls have suffered with and the trauma, it doesn't mean that it's acceptable. Just because he is an entertainer.
I fully disagree with everything Tim Westwood's done. I've seen him like actually face to face move creepy and whatnot for years. I've seen him on a TV and whatnot moving creepy and whatnot. I see it. But my whole thing is, why is it only now that there's this huge backlash when for years this has been
That's
going
what
on?
I want to know. Why is it outed now? Because they've had all of this.
Everyone's been saying this for years.
So I'm not sure why. Or is it just another case where BBC just did it upon themselves to get viewers? And why are they talking about it now?
He sued when he brought out that documentary. Apparently he did sue them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he won or not, but he sued them.
Well, he's been very quiet, hasn't he?
He ain't said nothing.
Yeah.
Is that an admission to guilt?
Do you know? I almost feel like perhaps the BBC did it because they had a wrongdoing with each other. They had a fallout with the BBC.
Because I'm thinking it don't make sense.
No.
If the BBC was covering up for him,
yeah,
and now they're coming out with this documentary trying to break him, like.
Well, the funny thing is, it could be a case where they're falling out. It's almost like with Murad Merali. Who's to say that ITV wasn't the ones that exposed everything and got background because he kept coming for the Love Island and the producers
and
coming
big
from
enough,
the
he
host.
actually had a big enough voice.
Yeah, and people were enjoying him more than the actual show. Really? He created revenue of creating a reaction of the show and doing his own interviews he was doing of Love Islanders.
For all we know, they probably approached him and said, "Do you want to do a full-time thing with us?" He probably declined, and then that's when they start digging up dirt. Because usually that's how they blacklist people. They're like, it's either you're with us or you're against us.
The thing is, I believe he said that they haven't approached him, but they wanted him to do some work with them. So it's like you're not really giving him things, but you want him to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Yeah.
So for all you know, they could have leaked it themselves. I mean, they've got the money, don't they, to dig up someone's history and find out what's going on.
Of course.
Getting a private investigator, etc.
Of course.
I mean, it could also be the host herself. Getting fed up of people talking about her. You know, she's got a lot of money.
What I was saying, and I'm sure I told you this, I think he should troll everyone. To get out of this, I feel like he should roll with it. That's the only way. I want to know your opinion. What do you think is the best next move to take for Murad Merali?
Well, for him to get back to...
Yeah. Or do you think he could?
I think if he just put out a video, I think he's going to be strategic. If he does come back, he could put out a video a week after everything has happened.
What, and fully just be transparent?
Yeah. And then just start posting his reviews again like nothing ever happened. I honestly believe that.
And that you think that will work?
I think so.
I think being silent is actually hurting him more than it's helping.
Yeah. The silent is making him lose more because it's like who you're running from, why you're not addressing the issues. But I feel like if he addressed it, he may get backlash. But there are people that are going to take his side and will listen and will forgive him because he's addressed it. And
I feel like he feels like everyone, even though it's only 20,000 followers out of 300, I think he feels like my empire's crumbling.
Yeah, he probably already feels like everyone's against him and he's already lost the battle. But the thing is, if I was to look now, let's have a look. I mean, he was on 300k during the Love Island reunion. And looking at statistics, let's have a look. So he's currently on 280k.
Wow. Well, it seems like it's stopped there.
So he's lost 20k subscribers on YouTube. And his video addressing my past is 522k viewers. And that's been 3 days.
Well, all I can say to that is I wish whatever's going to happen will happen. Right, wrong or indifferent, what's going to happen to him will happen to him. God bless that man. Before we leave, anything you want to promote? Anything you got going on?
Yeah, so I
Give
have
your social media.
I have a natural and organic skincare and hair care line called Beauty by Nature 94. So if you hit up my Instagram, it's at Beauty by Nature 94.
And your YouTube channel?
Tea by Nature. So please subscribe. Please follow my Instagram, Beauty by Nature 94, for natural and organic skincare and hair care products for both men and women. They're vegan, cruelty free. They have products such as natural hair oils,
And I'm
turmeric
an ambassador,
nighttime
by
glow
the way.
serum. Definitely, yes. You've been doing quite modelling, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm trying. You lot know certain people say I'm handsome, so I thought, you know what, let me use it.
All right.
Yeah, let me help boost sales. But yeah, what I want to say, thank you for coming. This
You're
is just
welcome.
part one anyway. Like, I'm gonna have you as a recurring guest.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, guys. This is a Goddess and Shack podcast. Hope you enjoyed. We're out. Peace.